attention. I just want to ask you a question. You got the beaver thing up. Did they make you wear a thong at your yoga retreat?
I
Yes or
didn't
no?
have to wear a thong.
What
No,
about a
no,
onesie? Did you have to wear a
no.
onesie? Did you have to
I
wear
wore a onesie, but I didn't have
You did wear a onesie? You did?
to. I don't wear a onesie.
That's bullshit. I know you wear one. You have slippers? A robe? Do you allow a wheat germ?
You know, I gotta tell you something. I shouldn't,
Yeah.
because
Tell me.
this is
What do you mean you shouldn't tell me? You should tell me.
okay. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Tell me. Welcome to the show. That's Lachlan Cross. I'm Dean.
Why is the beaver stuff up?
It was an oversight on my part. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Anyway, what's your story, Yogi? What's your
So
deal?
at one point, I was down in Joshua Tree, California. I did a 200 intensive hour yoga retreat to become a yoga teacher. It's called YTT.
Yeah.
And I
That
graduated.
was the last
I got
podcast.
home.
It was a huge podcast. Do you know how many people listened to that podcast yesterday? Like, it was a record amount of people that listened to the podcast, just listening to you talk about changing your life, going to yoga, the Joshua thing. You get the Joshua Tree UFO experience. You come back, boom. You know,
Yeah, if you
are
missed
a
it,
yogi teacher. Yeah.
I actually saw a UFO, and I brought Sarah on, who was down there with me, and she saw it as well. Anyway,
You saw light in the sky that was unidentified.
I saw a UFO. Go listen to the podcast. Yesterday you were on board. Now you're not.
No, I think it's awesome, but you didn't see that. You saw light disappear.
No, I saw a spacecraft in the sky. From another dimension, another planet.
Did you make it?
Where was I?
In Joshua Tree.
And no, what are you asking me? Oh, okay. I'm back on track. Okay. So at one point we start talking about past groups and things like that. And one of the organizers, Addie, goes, "Oh, and yeah, fun fact, they use this compound as a nudist camp when we're not here. So the person that owns it rents it out to this yoga retreat company, Kootenai Yoga School, and they book it, and then they schedule these events and people come down and do their thing. When they're not doing the yoga there, these 200-hour intensive programs for 2 weeks, it's Barry and Karen walking around, full buck.
Dick hanging out.
Yeah.
Titties flying.
Yeah.
Old saggy man asses just hanging out. It does
make sense.
Going for a swim, going for a hike naked, right? That kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It would make sense that you would have shown up, because that was what I thought. I thought when you went there, they'd make you wear the crazy onesies, and you have to wear like a yoga thong and stuff like that.
There's no onesies.
Can I ask you a couple more questions? Did you take part in the rave? Did you take part in the Neon 80s rave?
I was a
did you dance?
Peripheral
participant?
Dancer.
Yeah, okay. So you danced? Yeah. You did?
I tried. I tried to let go when I went down there. I had
a boy. Yeah. No, it's awesome that you did that. I couldn't see you doing that. And I'm glad you did. I'm glad you got out of your comfort zone. It's the key to growth, dude.
I still can't see myself doing that.
Like showing up to an 80s dance rave?
Yeah.
With a bunch of vegans? And here's the other thing we didn't cover yesterday, because I didn't want to embarrass Sarah, because you guys were talking about how much you love the vegan food. For the last 10 years, you've been selling insane. T-shirts, though. You've been selling T-shirts online that says, "I hate vegans." And you went down to a yoga retreat. Did you take that shirt? That's the question I have. And then you ate vegan food all week, 2 solid weeks. And I'm like,
2 solid weeks.
You need to hate yourself now.
I did have it in the bag, because there was a moment when I was packing where I was like, I wonder if anyone will find this shirt funny.
At a yoga retreat full of
if I would have stayed one more week, I think I would have had the balls to pull it out.
Like, the more you got to know people, you go, okay, I'm cool. They're cool with me. No one's going to get upset with me. I'll wear my I hate vegans shirt. I seriously couldn't believe I didn't ask you before you left. I'm like, wonder if
did you back the I hate vegan
shirt to your yoga retreat. I got to be honest. The podcast we did about that yesterday was huge. But here's the thing. You've been inundated with people, and I see it in the replies, saying, "Oh, Lachlan, that's awesome. Come and teach with us. Come and teach here. And as you understand it, you've been inundated with job offers to be a yoga teacher already in the city.
I got 2 job offers. As soon as I get done the podcast, I'm actually calling one of the studios that dropped me a line.
Do you know how awesome that is? Like, if you're going to look at from the outside in at this individual and his life story, like, say what you like about going to be a yoga teacher and all this other things. It's hobbies turning into professions. It's one of the real keys to life. If you want autonomy, make your hobby your profession. If you can do it, make money at it, great. Make the thing you love, this thing that you want to go out and do and be an entrepreneur in it. But just from your vulnerability yesterday, just from you saying, I'm going to go do this. I want to be a yoga teacher. I want to give back. And
I'm
talking about it publicly. You now have 2 job offers in your back pocket to go and teach yoga and be a legitimate yoga instructor. A real life job.
And I'm going to do it.
You love to.
And when I went down there, that was the goal. The goal was to go down there, get some confidence.
Yep.
Learn more, like build on the practice, expand the practice a bit, and then come back. And I'm gonna be a little green, a little rough around the edges.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
But I will say this, that my practice is going to be different as well. It's going to be a very different offering from what you get from other teachers as well.
Will it be licensed?
If I go to a studio, I have to get
No. Will it be licensed so you can drink?
Oh. You know what? I might get to a point where I do like maybe a yoga at a brewery or something like that on a weekend.
The men where they are, dude.
Yeah.
Do it at a brewery. Do it at like a Hell's Angels chapter.
You know what? I will say this too. I think the stigma of yoga is coming down a little bit, right? I meet more and more men that are curious about it. Athletes, it is now. It's quite common. If you meet a professional athlete, yoga is part of their training. Some level of yoga.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking football players, basketball players. We're talking hockey players.
I was talking to a friend of mine who knows William Nylander, or at least he knows of William Nylander and his trainer and what he does. And
does he make them hats?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and he cuts his hair in his spare time. And he said, all the rage right now, you know what the rage is in the NHL? Like a lot of these players that have having breakout years, it's pliability. It's like strength, body weight stuff, stretching, core strength, the real stuff. And I go, well, what do you mean? And he's like, it's yoga. And I'm like, what do you like? These guys are all doing. He goes, dude, it is amazing how into yoga and what yoga has done for guys like William Nylander. Last year, William Nylander like committed to like a real yoga program, like a real body strength, stretch, pliability, but core strength program. And there are a lot of people out there that think yoga is like a foo-foo and it's for a bunch of hippies. I joke around about the onesie. It ain't. Yeah. Like if you haven't done a yoga class, it kicks
it's for real
shit out of you just with your body weight. Like it's truly incredible. If you do the hot yoga, it's also truly incredible because it's the best way to get over a hangover, if you ask me. Not that I would know anymore, but dude, when I was drinking, I would go to yoga the next day and do hot yoga for an hour. And I'm telling you, I walked out of there feeling like $1 million almost every time, depending on how much I had to drink the night before. So to your point, a lot of men out there that like to get into their cups, you want to go earn your cups. I think it'd be fucking awesome to have one with guys who are like, it's a bit of a wine club. You maybe go there. It's a beer club. You try new beers. Everybody leaves with a new beer right after you just finish kicking the shit out of them and making them healthy and making them believe in themselves again. I think it's great.
One of the things that I'm going to focus on, especially at the start, because I would probably be, I'm going to be a beginner teacher. I'm going to do a very entry level class, right? I also believe in this because I've hurt myself a couple of times because you let your ego, if you take your ego into the class with you and you can start trying to, do things outside of your ability. And that's when so I'm going to focus on that. And my class is going to be, I think, a little bit more less intermediate, a little bit more beginner-ish when I get started. But as soon as I, get off the phone with this one person, I may even have classes next week.
Come on,
have
seriously?
A spot.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait. You got to, what you got to do too is record these and help people, like put out some micro content. If you want to be a man of the people, take your class to the people, Lachlan. Super simple.
You know what? I got to think about how to do that because you can't
do
just
it in your ditch. No, yeah, you can. You set up a couple cameras. We'll figure it out. We'll get it shot and lit. You wear something cool, something tight, something revealing, and you're going to turn all kinds of men and women into big yoga people. But I want to get back to the NHL part. Now, I don't know if you know this. The other gentleman who did an incredible job with yoga, whose career he says he owes a lot to yoga, is your Connor McDavid. Last night, big game 5. What did they lose? 3-2. Unbelievable game. Great hockey game. And I feel for the Oilers being behind the 8 ball. But if there's an Oiler fan out there who didn't watch that game last night, it was back to front, start to finish. Boom, 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 boom. And that little skate pass Pettersson gave JT Miller at the end was unbelievable too. And Pickard played incredible last night. So that was a nice little revelation for you guys. But if you watch that game last night and you're an Oiler fan and you're mad this morning that they lost,
you shouldn't be
clouding your vision of how incredible that hockey game was last night. Give your head a shake, Lachlan. Seriously.
I would 100% agree with you. Obviously, being down 3-2 in a best of 7 series is not where the Oilers wanted to be. But the thing about this series is I get the sense that Edmonton was not taking Vancouver lightly. I remember some of the interviews.
I don't know how you could.
No, you can't. And this is truly a battle of the coaches as well. This is not about the players on the ice. This is a coaching duo. And it's going to go 7 for sure because Edmonton's going to come back. It's an earlier matchup on Saturday, by the way, 6:00 start. The puck will drop. And they're gonna win game 6 and they're gonna force a game 7, and then it'll go back to Vancouver. Vancouver hopefully will learn to sing the anthem. Like they need to work
what was
on
that? There wasn't a lot of enthusiasm with the anthem yesterday either.
Yeah,
and there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm in the crowd. Like I loved watching the hockey game, but when Vancouver scored in the third period, 38 seconds left? Was there 38 seconds left last night?
Yeah,
it was like they'd scored a second period goal and they were up 5-3. That was the vibe in the crowd yesterday, too. So they don't know how to sing the fucking anthem. And they don't know how to get excited for a third period goal with 30 seconds left. But they're for real.
Edmonton would have blown the roof off if those
that would have been insane. That would have been insane. That's the other thing that's blown me away about that series is every game in Edmonton is a fucking disco party. It's like everybody's losing their mind.
Yeah.
And you go back to Vancouver and he's like, oh, yeah, that was great. JT Miller just scored. We're up 3-2. Okay, everybody, let's go for some scones at Good Earth Cafe. Let's
even
go for
Toronto.
A walk on Kitsilano Beach.
Even Toronto.
It's same here. Yeah.
Well, no, I got to give Toronto credit because at least the outside fans, the ones that can't get in the rink, they're real fans.
Yeah, but that's Maple Leaf Square, so it's different. Like if you go inside Scotiabank Arena and you're there for a game, and I've been to many, many, many games at Scotiabank Arena. Very fortunate to have gone. It's a very good.
Don't want to spill your drink.
In the first 2 sections, that's what you get. You get these uppity pricks who are there with their mistresses, feeding them sushi, and they're there for like a period, right? Like that's it.
Yeah.
And then the seats are empty to start and finish every period, and no matter what the score is. By the time it's the third period, half the lower bowl's empty, and each one of those seats is like $1,500 to $5,000.
I know.
Because the only people hard to afford, it's just a big networking opportunity for the rich and famous of this elite city we like to call the shining fucking citadel on the hill. It's exactly what it is.
Tickets. Let's have a business meeting. I'm going to write it off.
It's like a class war because you go outside and you go to Maple Leaf Square, and it's literally everybody who can never afford to get in.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is just as good. And they're coughing on each other, spilling beer on each other.
Yeah.
And for the last 7 years, it's been the exact same result at the end of every year. And I'm like, you guys are the smartest. You paid $20 to get in there, got hammered, left, didn't have to spend $5,000 to go and watch the game. But the problem is that when you watch the game on television, you could see the lack of enthusiasm. They never pan up to the actual upper bowl where people can kind of afford tickets, like middle class people or like mortgaging.
Those are the real fans up there.
Purples. Oh, totally. Yeah. And Joe Bowen said something during the series too. Do you remember that? Joe Bowen, he's the play-by-play guy. Lovely guy, lives around the corner from me, coached my kids in baseball. He's an institution. He calls the games on the radio with Jim Ralph. And Joe Bowen took a strip off of people during one of the broadcasts at the game. He's like, basically said, what the fuck is wrong with you people? These guys are pouring their asses into this game, and you're sitting there going, oh, that was nice. That was nice. Yeah. Dude, it's the same vibe in Vancouver. It's the exact same vibe.
Well,
but it looks like real fans can sit in real seats in Vancouver. They're in disbelief that the team is this good after sucking ass for so long. I don't know what it is, but it is dead there. And I love the games in Edmonton because people are losing their shit again this year.
Well, and the difference between Edmonton and Toronto, because tickets are still expensive, it still costs you an arm and a leg to go to a game in Edmonton, right? Yeah, for sure. The difference is that people in Edmonton will live in poverty all year to go to an Oiler. Like, that's the difference.
Well, and that guy
he's racking up too, right? Every one of his credit cards to go to the game. That's the big difference.
I respect that. Speaking of respect, see Brad Marchand's comments yesterday. Listen, if there is a more pure hockey player in the NHL, I'd like to meet him. I don't think there is. I fucking love Brad Marchand.
It's funny because he does this once a year where he steps out and he's like, where he shows that he's actually a good guy. Yeah. But he's a little monster on the ice, right?
But he's like everybody else who plays in the NHL and knows the competitive advantage of the NHL and the playoffs is in the playoffs. Guys do stuff, right? And something happened to him a couple games ago. He's missed a couple games in the Florida series with Boston down in that series, right? And he got sucker punched by Sam Bennett. Yep. Sucker punched by Sam Bennett in a hit. He goes down. He misses a game with some CTE-related issues or concussion-related issues. And you'd think when you would put a camera in a guy's face like this, a guy who got sucker punched, literally got sucker punched. It was a cheap shot? Hang on.
I think
this is kind of the incredible part of this clip, and I want you to watch this. A reporter asked Brad Marchand if he thought the concussion that he got from Sam Bennett was a cheap shot. Now, Sam Bennett is also dirty AF, but I also love him. He plays with sandpaper. He knows what it takes to win a championship, or at least he's trying to figure out what it takes. He's one of the most reviled guys in the league, but he's like just a bigger version of Brad Marchand.
I always wanted Edmonton to grab him. He played out here.
Yeah, Sam Bennett, you mean? Yeah, he's incredible. Yeah. But Brad Marchand gives maybe one of, and I want you to listen to this, the greatest answers to any gotcha question about some reporter looking for a soundbite, which is totally fine too. That's the industry, about what it was like to get sucker punched and put out. And I want you to watch this man answer this question like he is not the victim here. It is absolute brilliance. Watch this.
Do you think it was a cheap shot? I think that it was. He plays hard. You know, he's an extremely physical player, great player for the group. I think he got away with a shot, but, you know, I'm not going to complain. I mean, shit happens, and, you know, that's part of, especially playoff hockey. You know, I've been on the other side of a lot of plays, and, you know, I think he got away with one, but, I mean, that's part of the game, and definitely part of playoff hockey. You know, it sucks to be on the other side of it, but you know, that stuff happens. So I'm not going to sit here and complain about it. That's part of the game. But yeah, I think he got away with one. But it is what it is.
Is it too late?
Right? I mean,
yeah, good for him.
Are you not just floored by how fucking calm and the perspective and the insight into that question? It gets better. With his part of the game deal, he's like, "Hey, man, shit happens."
I mean, that's part of the game. I mean, you know, it's part of the playoffs. You know, people don't want to say it, but part of playoffs is trying to hurt every player on the other team. And the more guys you take out, the more advantage your team has. And you know, people don't say that, but that's just a fact of the game. And you know, so every time you step on the ice, someone's trying to hurt someone, and you know, that's just how it goes in playoffs. And any time you can get an advantage on a team, it's going to help your team win. And, that's part of the benefit of having a physical group. And that's why you see teams go the distance with big D core and physical teams. And it's why you rarely see teams that are small and skilled go far, because, they get hurt.
Right? I mean,
that's why I'm surprised at Vancouver's success. Like, they got some grinders, but they're smaller, right?
Yeah. No, but the brilliance of that answer, right? The brilliance of the honesty, the brilliance of like, hey, listen, the league doesn't want you to know about this.
I wonder what Bettman is thinking about that.
Yeah, that's the other thing. There's going to be some fallout there, maybe. But he's like, the league probably doesn't. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. But fuck, we're trying to kill each other. Yeah, we're trying to take out their best player. They're trying to take out our best player. It is the game. And prior to that, the first clip where he was like, hey, listen, this is what it is. I do the same thing to guys.
Yeah.
I am just as greasy as that dude. It is a strategy. It works. And we all know Brad Marchand licks people. We know he cheap shots people. He slew foot Bertuzzi about 400 times.
I never got.
Yeah, I didn't get it either, but it's his thing. Maybe he likes salt. I don't know. But I love the authenticity. There's no duplicity with Brad Marchand. Like, you get what you get. And that is a hockey player who just basically tore the cover off the, hey, you know what, like, we've been lying to you for 100 years. We're literally trying to kill each other out here, and I'm just as guilty as everybody else. So good for Sam Bennett, but he totally got a cheap shot away, and that is the game.
Speaking of 100 years, I have a thought for Leaf fans.
Yeah.
And legit, hear me out, okay? So it's been 57 years without a cup. There's been 35 trips to the playoffs for the Toronto Maple Leafs since 1967, which is actually, when you think of it, when you boil it down,
decent average.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Like, right? I mean, that's more than 50%. It's probably 53, 54% of the time the Toronto Maple Leafs are making it to.
Yeah, close. I don't know if you should be doing the math on that off the top of your head, but yeah, it's in the 50s to 60%.
Yeah, it's around 50-ish.
I love that you just arbitrarily came up with 54%. I do the same thing. Someone's like, what do you think? I'm like, well, 72% of people say this. And they're like, fuck, it's got to be true. It's like a pretty specific number.
It's commitment.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, 15 times of those 35 trips in the last 57 years,
yes,
the Toronto Maple Leafs have been punted in the first round. And then there's this beautiful stat, and this is a more recent trend for the team. 7 of those 15 have gone to 7, and they've lost.
And they've been in the last decade.
Which is just spectacular.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
Here's the thing, and listen, I'm just floating this idea.
Yeah.
Because when Toronto tied up the series 3-3 against Boston,
yeah,
it was everything I could do to not go on my Twitter account and go, well, of course they need to lose in Game 7. I didn't. I'll tell you why. Because I was actually excited about the possibility of another Canadian team on the East
staying into the next round. Yeah, exactly. Me too.
Right? Yep. And I would have liked to have seen that. Right?
It's kind of what bums me out about Vancouver and Edmonton playing each other, right?
Because they're gonna knock each other off. But at least we'll have a Canadian team in the third round of the playoffs. So I was excited about the possibility of, 2 teams, one on the East, one on the West, potentially having a run for the Cup this year, right? And Toronto, I mean, I think they have their deficiencies, but they've got a decent team. So I was trying to stay a little bit low but of course they lost in Game 7.
In Game 7, in the first round to the Bruins again. But here's the best part: in overtime.
In overtime. How many of those 7 Game 7 losses have gone to overtime? I got to look that up.
Who knows? It doesn't matter. It's like, Well, I know the first one against Boston that kick-started the years of sacred misery was an overtime goal, right? I know that. I know the James.
It's the Montreal series.
Probably. I don't know. I mean, like it doesn't matter. But here's the thing: those stories and those statistics, every single fan knows. Right? Every single Leaf fan knows.
Yeah.
We've been inundated with them. We've soaked them up like sponges, and they've affected the psyche of the fan in this city so much.
This is where I'm going, Dean.
No one's getting excited. No one's getting depressed. No one's turning over cars. 100%, because we're all like this. Well, this is just too fucking incredible to believe. Let's just keep watching. And the regular season's a write-off generally. That nobody really gives a shit until the playoffs, to the point where I watched 2.5 Leaf games in the playoffs, 2.5. And the reason why was because they didn't matter until they got out of the first round. And and that's how I feel to protect myself from losing my mind as a Leaf fan. I'm like,
well, I think you're doing a better job than other Leaf fans, though.
Yeah. No, dude, this is like an overriding theme in Leafland. Pricked ourselves with, different ponies and different systems and different ways to think. And we've all arrived, specifically a smarter Leaf fan has arrived at the same thing, which is like, I'm not going to put my head against the wall. I'm not going to get my hopes up. I'm going to just assume they're going to lose in the first round in Game 7 again. And if they don't, Bob's your uncle, Helen's your aunt. Let's start watching some Leaf hockey in the second round. Like, that's literally one of the overriding themes and perspectives of hardcore Leaf fans that have the ability to reason, because those stats are just so hard to believe. And the way they continue to lose is so apoplectically crazy that there's no other solution. There's no other solution if you're a Leaf fan. None.
I'm going to float this.
Sure you are.
Class action suit against the team. The fans get together.
Yeah.
And sue the Toronto Maple Leafs for the misery that team has caused them over the last 57 years.
Probably several deaths. Like several heart attacks, several Game 7, round 1. I just want to live until those stories. I love those stories. I just want to live until the Leafs win a Stanley Cup. Guys like, this is the best regular season they've had. I'm 87 years old. I've got 14 kinds of cancer, and this is my last run, so this is it. I know it. I feel it. I've been waiting for it. I'm not going to die until it happens. Same guys that cut their hair. I'm not going to cut my hair till the Leafs win. I'm like, those guys deserve the class action lawsuit. Like Uncle Jimmy, who's like, man, yeah, I waited all this time. And then dude, you can start that class action lawsuit and sue Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment for paying more attention to the real estate than they did to the team. And you killed Uncle Bobby, and he was waiting for this. And he was watching this game, and he had a heart attack in his 87th year, and he said he wasn't going to die till you won a cup. You let him down. That is fraud. We're all suing. Dude, you know how many people would jump on that?
Well, and you got to do television coverage of the deposition, where you just roll those guys out.
Each individual person.
Stories. There's something there.
I think there is too. Yeah, I would love that. I would love to see that as like a Netflix series too, like to follow around like long fucking Lauren Leaf.
We're on to something.
I'm serious. It's just a show about fans and the fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs, who statistically have been fisted hard than any other fan base in the last 10 years, maybe ever. The way they've lost and what the Leafs have paid attention to and how they've absolutely disengaged with the fan base and they don't care about anything other than this. Man, oh man, that would be a cool documentary to look into that. Like, you tell me you go into the playoffs this year, and this was the thing that pissed me off the most. They went into the playoffs this year with a couple of goaltenders who've never done fucking shit. Yeah. Nobody knew who they were. Nobody cared. Samsonov, nobody cares. Mr. Wall, nobody cares. And it was like, man, you're going to spend all that money. You're going to sign all those cats. You're going to put all that up front. You're going to do nothing on your back end. Like, you heard Brad Marchand, maybe the greatest hockey personality currently in the game, who is like, he's like a guru. He's a sensei.
And he'll play tonight. Yeah. They're down 3-2 to Florida.
Did you hear what he said, though? He's like, hey, listen, here's the deal. You don't win a cup. You're trying to hurt guys. You got to have a big, good defense core. You got to have guys that are willing to do that. It's just the little teams and the fancy teams, they all get lost out. Brad Marchand was in town this year, And he's like, hey, there's a reason these guys can't keep winning is because they're all so fucking greedy. They keep taking the max. We all take a little bit less and we fill out our roster and we win cups. That's what we do.
Yep. Yeah, there's something to be said about that.
Blue and white disease. I think that's a great Netflix doc, dude. I really do.
We should sell that to them. Hey, on the Netflix topic.
Yeah.
Have you watched the Tom Brady roast?
Yes. Okay. In love with Nikki Glaser, by the way. In love. Not only is she 10 out of 10, she is so fucking funny and so smart. I legitimately fell in love.
Roast.
Yeah, dude, she was the whole roast. It made the rest of the roast unwatchable. And then at the end of it, I was so turned on by how cool she was. I'm like, I got to look up like kinks for like guys that have kinks for really smart women or people that have kinks for very smart people. It exists.
Really funny people.
Sapiosexual. And I realized watching Nikki Glaser, I'm a sapiosexual, but that roast was fucking awesome. It was incredible.
And you know what? I will say this. I got two things to say about the roast. Okay. Yeah. One, I've never been a Kevin Hart fan. I've seen his comedy, I've seen clips, and I'm just like, it's the same thing with Taylor Swift. Is Taylor Swift, is she talented? Absolutely. She's a great musician. Her level of fame and the level of adoration that the fans have for her is unbalanced. Doesn't make sense to me. I have a similar thought about Kevin Hart. I'm like, why this guy, is he funny? Yeah, sure. He's entertaining. He's funny. The level of fame that he's achieved, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't add up.
Kevin Hart?
Like that for a long. I turned a corner on Kevin Hart on the roast. I thought he did a great job hosting it.
Do you know who did a great job too that nobody liked was Tom Segura, where he did the comparisons. I thought they were fucking great. I don't know why, but I was that guy that also liked the Bob Saget thing at his roast, at the Bob Saget roast, when Norm Macdonald went after Bob Saget and no one could understand it or laugh. I couldn't stop laughing. So maybe I've just got that sense of humor, or maybe I'm just a big Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura fan. But I thought that was really
love them
too. Yeah,
but I thought their piece was a little muddled. I thought it was a little clumsy. I thought it could have been way better. I understood what they were trying to do, but I think they got a little bit nervous.
What did you make of them bringing up the fact that Tom Brady's wife was banging her jiu-jitsu instructor?
Well, she wasn't she? I think when you go in there, do you think that Brady was upset about the massage joke?
Yeah, big time. Like he was super pissed off for his kid. He was mad about a couple of things. So he gave an interview after, and he's like, okay, listen, it was great. I knew what I was up for, but my kid saw some stuff I wish I wouldn't have seen, right? Like, talking about how mom was banging the jiu-jitsu instructor. Which I thought was awesome. I thought it was fucking brilliant. And then he said the other thing is that there was some unnecessary stuff with my former employer, effectively alluding to that. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah,
what he was talking about is the owner of the Patriots, Robert Kraft, several years ago, when he went down for the Super Bowl, how he got popped going to a rub and tug to get a Yankee Doodle from an Asian massage therapist. I can't believe I call him massage therapist. And it was all part of this sting around Mar-a-Lago and Trump and stuff like that. If you remember, that was the big problem that everybody had with it. It was attached to like Donald Trump. I'm like, well, you guys don't like first of all,
the owner has been invited out to a number of galas. The massage parlor owner. They had pictures of her.
Oh yeah, she's everywhere. Yeah. She's got a cool
hobnobbing with lots of rich people down there.
Sex trade's a big deal.
Here's my other thought about the Tom Brady roast. And listen, I don't want to go down. I don't want to get into any waters we don't need to get into. But
I do.
I got a sense that the woke movement, for a lack of a better term, might be coming to an end. And I think if we look back on that roast, that might be a moment where we go, okay, it's all over. No one can be offended anymore, because it was ruthless. No?
Oh, dude.
It was savage.
Dude, some of the stuff that they said, if you were to put that on Twitter as a tweet, you're you're canceled. You're going to get it. Like it. And to your point, and I know people that use the word woke as a pejorative, which I don't like doing, woke, all that other stuff. But we're talking about like the psychos, the weirdos, the ones that show up with megaphones and punch you in the face for saying you don't support us if you're not standing here with us. So we're just going to start punching you in the face. That is the extreme or quote freak left. To your point, I was watching that and I had the same thought. I thought to myself, this might be the beginning of the end.
This is over.
For all those super exclusive, inclusive assholes that call themselves woke.
If
which
anybody
is not
starts complaining,
I don't want to use it as a pejorative to that
just
point.
Sit him down and get him to watch that 3-hour roast of Tom Brady.
See if they can make it into hour 2.
Who knew that Tom Brady would be the sort of the pivot of a culture and a division we've seen for the last 10 years?
Well, it's funny because, as you know, I went out to Alberta. We haven't talked about this, but I go out to Alberta to interview David Parker, right? We've had him on the show. I've interviewed him a couple of times. He's the director of Take Back Alberta, which is the spine of the United Conservative Party.
Every time you have a meeting with David Parker, I get 300 tweets. So, so I know. You don't need to tell me.
Could you believe that? Speaking of like, and let's not use woke as pejorative. I'm just calling this the extreme left, right? You got it on both sides. You got extreme right or freak right. You got freak left, and they're basically the same thing. They hurt people. They exist to hurt people on behalf of a fucking culture. They can all eat shit. So I announced that I'm coming to Calgary to talk to David Parker, just to interview him, because I think it's important that people sit down and have these conversations. The dude's one of the biggest newsmakers in Canada, right? Whether you agree with him or not, whether you like what he says, whether you agree with what he's doing in Alberta.
And it's okay for you to disagree with him.
100%. So I announced I'm going to go talk to him, and I say I like and respect the man, right? Like you like and respect any human who gives you the opportunity to have their time and to go and interview them, right? So we come up with this idea. David and I come up with this idea. We're going to do a series of podcasts about me getting to know him and him getting to know me and what I discover about the freedom movement. That was supposed to be the original idea behind the podcast series. It was called Head On, still is, still working on it, even more excited to work on it. Do you know why? Because we've opened up the universe of what this series can be to covering the freak right and the freak left, because of the reaction that they gave me just for going out to Alberta to sit down and talk to the guy. Like, dude, I had death threats. I had people, like, we had every single one of our clients.
They're just proving your point.
100%. They had every single one of our, just to have a conversation with the dude. I had Luke LeBrun from Press Progress write a tweet saying that I had been hired to do work on behalf of David Parker, effectively saying that I am now his spokesperson or his partner in crime in producing propaganda. Like, this is Luke LeBrun. This is the dude from Press Progress. Press Progress is an NDP funded, donation funded affirmation service that parades around and pretends to be what Rebel News is, but on the left, right? That's effectively what Press Progress is. So
I've heard the name.
He suggested I'm going out there to interview someone who's untoward, and every single one of them brought up the fact that he put out a tweet lighting the LGBTQ flag on fire as why I should not go and talk to him. I talked to him about that tweet after he put it out. He deleted that tweet. So it still
doesn't make it right that he put it out there.
No, it doesn't make it right. And we've had that conversation. We've talked about it on the show. We've talked about my disagreement with what he does and his thoughts and his feelings. But I want to know how a guy gets there, right? I want to know how a dude becomes that dude. And we have a decent relationship. And I like the person. It's really hard to hate someone you meet when you have great conversations with them. We've had him on the podcast a bunch of times, dude. And
I am not a fan of where he stands on.
I'm not either.
Many issues at all.
Me neither.
And the only reason why I even remotely looked into him, because I didn't know anything about him until you brought him on the podcast. Because you sent me a note and said, we got David Parker on today. Do you know who he is? And I'm like, no. And he goes, Take Back Alberta, do a little bit of research. So I went on and did some research. And I remember thinking to myself, while I was looking into it, going, oh, for the love of God, what's Dean got me into again now?
Yeah.
But then when we had him on, I got to say, we had a reasonable conversation. And I've been saying, so I didn't want to be hypocritical.
Yeah.
I've been saying to you that I think one of the things that we could do with this podcast, and it's not my say, it's yours, but I've been pushing for this. We've been doing this for over 3 years now. I've been saying, I think we could be a bridge between two very separated societies, in this country. It is still quite divisive. And I think you and I, on different levels, represent the middle, and largely an unsort of supported middle. We don't really have anybody out there fighting for us, because what politics has become, and both sides admit this, is because the only people that give money are crazy people. Crazy people on the right, crazy people on the left. So when you're out campaigning, when you're out there platforming, you need the middle to vote.
Yeah.
But the middle doesn't. I'm never giving anybody any money, and they know that. Dean's never going to give anybody any money.
Why? Do you know why they go after the left? Is because we're not crazy.
Thank you. So that's where politics is gone, because politics is about money. What else do you think it's about? Those people aren't there. They're not there for charity. But they're there to make money.
Do you know what I noticed going out there? In the reaction from going out there and meeting the people there, they're the exact same. The processes the freak left uses, the money they try to raise, the visuals they try to dump into your timeline to try to get you to feel bad or pretend you're a victim or to get on side or to get your money or to get your time or to get your vote. It is all the same. All of it. The freak left is the freak right. And they're kicking the shit out of each other, right? And not only that, one of the things I really noticed is that on both ends of the spectrum,
before you keep, David Parker's aware of that. And that's what I found 100%. Interesting about him.
Yeah.
Is that he sees the game for the game and what it's doing to both sides as well. So if you can hate David Parker, you can definitely vilify him. You're 100% allowed. There are lots of examples of why you could. But the man is using these strategies for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's willing to highlight the fact that these things are being used to divide us, I think makes that an interesting conversation. And that's why I'm encouraging you to continue on with this project.
Thanks, buddy. I'm going to. And it is in production right now. We've got our first 3 episodes that we shot that are in production. It's called Head On. It'll be interesting. We figured out, hey, if we can sit down and talk, and if you and I can, we literally carved each other for about 2 years online, right? It was just this bang, 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 bang. And then we met and we decided, I kind of understand some of the things you're saying, even though I completely disagree with your position. I'd like to know more about who you are and what you're doing. And isn't that the whole purpose of this? Shouldn't we be doing more of that? Shouldn't we be talking to each other and trying to figure this stuff out? And the big conclusion that the freak left came up with, by the way, everybody hated me. The freak right already hates me, which is great. I could care less. And the freak left doesn't matter to me either. They all arrived at the same conclusion. You know what that conclusion was? Whatever conclusion fit, whatever narrative they wanted to push, to call me whatever name they wanted, to label me whatever they needed to label me so that they could get a lift off of my name. That was their conclusion. And I loved it because it was revelatory. What it said to me was, Dean, you've been carrying water for assholes for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been, and I've had a couple conversations since then about the reaction from the extreme left, and they have not done anything for you. And the second you do something that the constellation of weirdos in that group decides goes against their made-up rules, they're going to publicly shame you, and they're going to come after all your businesses, which is what they did. They're going to come after all your clients. They're going to come after everybody. Case in point, the Canadian Anti-Hate Network send all of their proxies, this is really funny, into the DMs of all the people we work with, all of them, saying you should get away from them. They're going to interview a Nazi. They're going to talk to a Nazi who hates gay people. He's a racist. You should get away from him. Me, just for going to have that conversation about, is any of this stuff true, David? That was the conversation we had. Are any of these things true? Are these things true? Is this why you're doing this? And nobody knows what's in the podcast. That's the beautiful part. But the extreme left like the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, as I've kind of gotten through the mess and trying to figure out where this is nothing more than, like Press Progress, rebel news. These are fake news outlets that try to hurt other individuals. And for an organization like that to send guys who have been arrested for putting dick pics in other guys' DMs, young men, young women, telling them go attack people that Dean were. Oh yeah. This is one dude, Vancouver. It's a long story. I don't want to get into it. There's something wrong, and I think everybody needs to be aware of this. Follow people that are willing to have conversations, and in those conversations, not hurt entire communities or people, because a movement is a bad movement. An organization is a bad organization, and an ideology is a bad ideology if all it does is exist to hurt people. Am I right?
I would agree.
Yeah. Okay. And that's what I noticed. So in the big scheme of things, I'm really excited to come back to Alberta. We're going to be there in June. I'm going to be there in July. We're gathering a bunch of footage for some stuff that's going on here in Ontario. We're wrapping into this entire documentary or podcast series, whatever it ends up being, the idea that there are a certain segment of society who have allowed certain institutions to absolutely destroy their brains and become victims of a radicalization process on both poles. And that is the issue that we have. And we're going to try and uncover as much of it as we have. Dude, the financial implications for the freak left are exactly the same as the freak right, too. Like, everybody's on the take.
They're all playing the same game. Yeah.
All of them. Is like, how can we attach ourselves to core beliefs, and then how can we make people think that they're in it for us, and then how can we have a couple of triggers or fundraisers or some way you can donate, so you can give us your money, and then on the right it might be crypto, on the left it might be help us buy a care package or crypto. Yeah, it's probably crypto.
The crypto jokes at the Tom Brady roast killed me as well.
All the ones about Gronk.
Well, no, about Tom Brady losing. How much did he lose?
30 million.
30 million in a crypto scam. Okay. Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you a quick little story. What's the name of the woman that just recently got arrested that shows up at all these you talked
Dina
about
Sharif.
Dina. Okay. So Dina,
she's still in jail, by the way. Okay,
so she's in jail. She started up a fundraiser online, GoFundMe. Okay. Yeah. And fine. She totally can.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so she's trying to get some help with her legal costs. Okay. And somebody sent me a note saying that she posted, and they sent me a screenshot of it. She sent me a post that I had donated to her cause. And so she had somehow manipulated the GoFundMe, and it said thank you, and then she responded with thank you, Lachlan Cross, this money will go a long way to help me with my cause or whatever.
Serious? Someone gave her a donation in your name and you got an email?
Or she set it up or whatever. No, I got a DM from somebody that
how it works is she was not allowed to do a GoFundMe right away. It got canceled right away. So GoFundMes are pretty specific. You have to prove that it's legitimate. Like our GoFundMe, which I'm so grateful for so many people that have helped us fight this Canada Proud thing. And all the money is going to the Canada Proud lawsuit. By the way, that's the other thing all the wokesters decided to say, you're stealing money from the GoFundMe that we send you, and that money we sent you for something else, and you took it to go to Alberta and interview a Nazi. I'm like, no, I paid for it my fucking self. But GoFundMe, which is fascinating,
Dean is taking me to the keg on that, though. No, he told me when he comes, we're going to go into the GoFundMe.
No, we're not.
Legal bills, and we're going to the keg.
Directly
I'm
to
getting prime rib.
But the funny part is how many people just assume that GoFundMe can be used for anything. Her GoFundMe got canceled like a day into it because she's been charged with violent crimes. Like Sharif got charged with beating the shit out of people. Like that's what she got charged with. Yeah.
Here's the point of that DM that I got. Somebody had taken a screenshot of the tweet where she was thanking me for my donation, sent it to my DMs and Twitter, and they said, you need to be concerned about this. And I politely responded. I said, anybody who knows me knows that I would never donate any money to Deanne.
You wouldn't donate any money to anybody, dude.
I know,
dude.
So
I took you to a Jays game. I said, "Can you buy beers?" And you said, "No, I'll buy the hot dogs." And it was Looney hot dog night. You're the cheapest fucking guy on the planet.
Of course.
Yeah, I know.
I got 10 glizzies for $10. You got saddled with like the $40 drink bill.
Oh, it's like
I'm no dummy.
It's like $200 drink bill, dude. You know how much those beers cost at the Rogers Center.
Yeah.
Anyway, your point
just makes me smart.
By the way, that's a tactic that they use on the left and the right. It's the exact same tactic where they do a donation in someone's name, someone who clearly would never donate, and go, "What are you doing? I can't believe you gave her money." Like, listen, that's exactly what this is. You fucking nailed it. They tried to get you. They tried to get you too.
But hold on. The point I wanted to make is I think we need to settle into what the game is, and everybody needs to be aware. I am not going to lose any sleep over that tweet about me donating to that cause. If anything, it made me laugh. But the person that sent it to me was so concerned that that somehow I was attached to this cause and that I needed to do something about it immediately.
The freak left. You joined the freak left. Is that what they said? That's the other thing everybody said. In going to interview David Parker, you're like, "You've turned into a traitor." And I saw a tweet from some guy. He goes, "Dean flipped." I'm like, "Flipped what?"
See, that's where we need to be with this. We need to find the humor in it.
Oh, fuck, it made me laugh.
Yeah.
I lost like 800 followers in a couple days. And I was like,
place.
This is awesome. These are the kind of people I don't need around.
You're in a better place, I think, because we have been exploring the humor of this stuff.
Totally. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because David Parker doesn't scare me because I met him.
Yeah.
He might scare people who have said David Parker is the antithesis of everything bad that you've ever met. And do I agree with 90% of his worldview? Fuck no. Do I like him as a person?
I don't even like his tactics. Like his tactics are they're ridiculous.
I don't either. But I'm not doing that job. Right? I align with him on corruption in government. I align with him on first principles. I align with him that we should be able to have a conversation where I'm like, dude, just say the fucking quiet parts out loud for once. Like someone from that side of it, just say the quiet parts out.
Like Brad Marchand.
And exactly. And
we're stepping up the ice to hurt people.
And I will say this, to David's credit, he said the quiet parts out loud. Everybody he introduced me to said the quiet parts out loud. And I enjoyed getting all that audio. And in no way am I going to turn it into a hit piece. I'll let everybody speak and you can draw your own conclusions because generally speaking, that's how this should work. We're not going to be part of that machinery. We're going to laugh at this stuff from now on. So let's enjoy it. And I'm going to talk to, by the way, whoever the fuck I want, whenever the fuck I want, about whatever the fuck I want. I'm glad we had this talk. Thanks for doing this today, Locke.
No, this is a good one. I'm glad I'm back. I missed the desert, but I'm glad I'm back. I'll keep you posted on my my first yoga class.
Yeah,
at the studio that I'm going to be talking to as soon as we get off this podcast. By the way, July 5th, when you are in town, you and I are golfing together. This will be the first time since the Jays game that we got to spend some time together. And we'll be golfing in the Ardent Roof Charity Golf Tournament for the Stollery Child Life Program, which in 4 years has raised $65,000. I'm hoping that in the next week and a half, 2 weeks, we'll have footage of where that money has gone and what it's gone to at the Stollery, because we're meeting with the Stollery next week. We're going to bring some cameras down and we're going to be able to walk through the Stollery here, the Children's Hospital in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, to get an example of what it is that Ardent has done and helped contribute to. It's an unbelievable facility. We're very lucky to have it in Alberta's capital. Now, there is still a chance to sign up for the tournament, but I had a quick conversation with Stacy yesterday, and spots are filling up. There's not many left, so go to ardenroofsystems.com. No, I'm not kidding.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's very few sponsor opportunities left, but if you're a business and you'd like to get behind this and throw your weight at it, that's a possibility. If you want to talk about that, send me a note on any of my social media and we can hook up about that. It may be a silent auction item, whatever the case might be, but get your teams in. You can sign up as single, double, triple, or a foursome, and we will see you at the ranch on Friday, July 5th.
Go to ardenroofsystems.com for more information. ardenroofsystems.com. Donate, sponsor a hole, filling up fast. Make sure you get your foursome, twosome. I'll be there with Lachlan. I'm going to fly in, I think, the day before. You and I are going to...
It's a Friday, by the way, July 5th.
Yeah, we're going to go feed some
going to the
children.
keg.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the keg. Oh, that's sweet GoFundMe money. Not. Someone's going to clip this, by the way. We've become those people. Or maybe I've become that guy where they're like, just get a clip of him saying anything and take it out of context and just hammer the shit out of it because that's what we need right now. Okay, Warriors, go. Let's go. Everybody gets their email marching orders today. That's exactly what happens on those sites. We're just going to send out a bunch of emails. You'll get your marching orders. And the whole idea is you need to spread this email around and everybody's going to be really mad at Dean today.
Okay, I'm going to go because I can't handle that voice anymore. All right.
Thanks, dude. Thanks, everybody, for watching and listening. Thanks for your time. Don't forget, you can get everything to do at Crier Media, wherever you get Crier Media stuff, crier.co, YouTube, Crier Media, YouTube, Dean Blundell Show. Have a wonderful day. We will see you tomorrow.